I just saw this headline and I wanted to come on and talk about it. Um, why are people saying that Gen Z is the most depressed generation? You've probably seen the headlines, right? Gen Z is the most depressed generation ever. But why? You know, um, in recent discussions with Gen Z users on TikTok, because we get all our news from TikTok, that is the place to go. But some Gen Z TikTokers have highlighted that they think the reason why Gen Z is so depressed is because of the absence of third places. And that just means social environments that are separate from home and work, like cafes or community centers. They think that's the contributing factor of feelings of depression and isolation. This lack of informal public gathering spaces has been linked to increased loneliness and a sense of disconnection among young people. I mean, I know when I was growing up, I could always go to the local Boys and Girls Club, or there was a rec around the corner that had all kinds of extracurricular things. And I'm a Gen Xer, but I can definitely co-sign this sentiment. I would say a good portion of my private practice is with Generation Z clients, or younger millennials, and they all talk about being lonely, specifically loneliness around dating and finding romantic partners, but sometimes just a struggle to find a group of friends. You think about it, they have, Bumble and dating websites like that used to be specifically for dating. Now they have them just to find your BFF group or find your friend group. I think it's very, very tough for Gen Zers. It's one of the reasons why I decided to come back to YouTube and try to start to create a digital community. I know it's not the answer because it's still asking people to be on their screens, but I think if people are spending time on their screens anyway, and you're scrolling social media, and there's tons of information out there. I don't want to be one of these people who just continues to give you guys information. I get information overload. So I thought, it's better to create digital communities where you talk about things that enhance mental health and really create a digital community to help support people and that kind of thing. So that's really the direction that my work is taking in the field. Another thing I would say is that I think a lot of people in Generation Z and young millennials might lack social skills and have a lot of social anxiety. I mean, if you think about it, during the pandemic, a lot of these kids lost a year and a half of socializing when we were on lockdown. And some of those years I think are critical that they lost for building good social skills. I know my daughter missed, I don't know, a year and a half to 2 years of her college career, her college life. When I look back over my life, college was the best 4 years for socialization. It's right when I was on my own. I probably went to my first club. I went to my first parties. I learned to drink. I learned what I liked, what I didn't like. She missed half of that. And let's not forget about the kindergartners, right? Those kids who were in kindergarten or elementary school. Do you guys remember that poster, All the Things I Learned in Kindergarten? And they're mostly about social skills, like taking your turn, the golden rule. Well, some of these kids didn't learn that in kindergarten because they weren't there in person. They were doing it over a computer screen. So you just think about the lack of social skills. And some people might say, well, okay, they went back and they could catch up. But sometimes our brain is wired to get optimal information at certain times, right? If you think back to developmental stages, okay, I'm not going to geek out here, but you get my drift, right? I don't know. So I think it's something to think about. How can we help them? If you're a parent of someone that's a Generation Z baby, I call them babies, I think it's something we can think about. I think also that there are a lot of, along with Bumble and things like that are creating these matches for not just romantic dates, but friends. I think communities are now hearing and opening up like public spaces like cafes and community events. And then you have great things like Meetup and Eventbrite and things like that that are really trying to bring people together. You know, some data says it's like an epidemic for Generation Z, that they're really showing up as the generation, like the age of anxiety and depression. So anyway, tell me your thoughts about it. It's something I'm definitely interested in. And, you know, let's get these kids I shouldn't call them kids. Let's get these kids and young adults the spaces they need. And I hope my channel here on YouTube can be one of those things, a digital community to help mental health. So comment below, what do you do to combat loneliness, to combat depression, to combat anxiety? Comment below. Let's start a little conversation. All right, guys, signing off for now. Bye.